Hyperdrive Hockey is brought to you by the Game Over Network. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at Game Over Network and catch Hyperdrive Hockey in audio format on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other good streaming platform. Hello, beautiful citizen of the frozen planet of the ice hockey world. Welcome to another episode of Hyperdrive Hockey. My name is Maxime Vanut alongside Daphne Malbeuf and Kevin Laramé. Oh, we are in a holiday spirit today. Unless, of course, you are Jacob Trouba. The New York Rangers are bringing NBA-type drama to the NHL, and your boy here is here for it. Make sure to follow Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network on YouTube. Drop a like, a subscription. Make sure to comment on an episode. It helps us. Catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Leave a review to make sure to tell the big gaffa that you like the podcast. Daphne Malbeuf, how are you doing today?
Pretty good, Max, and I'm here with you. I'm kind of here for the bachelorette drama style of
Bachelorette.
Oh yeah,
Bachelorette.
This is completely Bachelorette because
I have never watched. I must confess, I have never watched The Bachelorette.
I've watched just few episodes.
I said this without judging.
Regular on this one, but
we all need our popcorn TV shows.
Yeah, but Jacob Trouba, just like having a little time on his home, being like, I'm going to tell my version and my truth.
I loved it.
And I was like, I'm here for it because quite too often, we don't have the version and we don't get to know what happened really and truly. And just the player arrived in another city and he's like, yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. And he doesn't talk about what we really want to talk about. And now he did.
Well, you know what? Let's dive headfirst into it. We will, of course, talk about anything going on Planet Hockey today. And I made sure on this beautiful Tuesday morning, when we are recording this, to put a smile on Kevin Laramé's face. I am wearing my most beautiful Christmas sweater. I hope Kevin is happy with it, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love Christmas. I'm a Grinch in real life, baby, but I love the holidays.
The Grinch was on the ice in the OHL this weekend, actually. I can't wait to talk about it because that was completely awesome. But first, let's talk New York Rangers. Let's talk Jacob Trouba. The New York Rangers are still on a complete slide down the Eastern Conference standing. They lost again on Monday night to the poorly Chicago Blackhawks. I had that game as a bounce back game for the Rangers. Did not happen. Of course, they traded away team captain Jacob Trouba. And Daph just talked about it. Trouba had a reaction in front of the media. Well, first of all, let's talk about the trade in itself. Chris, I don't know about you guys, but the comments I read, most people were like, congrats to Chris Drury dropping that huge Jacob Trouba contract. Jacob Trouba he still has another year left on that contract. It's an $8 million AAV. A lot of people thought that the only way Chris Drury could move that, well, first of all, he had to find a team Jacob Trouba was gonna want to go to because he had a 12-15 list team, no movement list. And a lot of people thought he was going to have to keep some money. He did not have to keep any money. He traded him almost for nothing. I don't know about you guys. I don't agree. I don't agree that this is that good a move for the Rangers. I will explain why in a minute, but I want to hear you, Daph, on this.
Okay, if we're looking at the business side of it and completely just the business side of it, you're looking at this and you're like, okay, this is kind of a good business move because it brings a lot of salary cap flexibility. The move that they created, it created approximately 21.9 million in salary cap space. And so you're like, okay, this is the move to pursue additional talent. And you're looking at the fact that they were able to make it happen and they were able to do it without paying shit. And even receiving something back. And despite all the drama around it, you're like, this is I cannot think of a better outcome for New York. No
Maybe in the
matter
short
no
term.
matter how.
Maybe in the short term. But here's why I'm skeptical. This is the second time in less than a year that Chris Drury did exactly what he did. So back in the summer with Barclay Goodrow, who had the same thing. He had a 12, 15 team list. I can't. One of them was 12, one of them was 15. I don't have it ahead of me, but one of both had 15, the other 12. They both had a minimal no trade list. A bunch of teams, they said, I don't want to go there. You can trade me to all the other teams in the NHL. So Barclay Goodrow had the San Jose Sharks on that list. So what did Chris Drury do? He put him on waivers. The Sharks, who of course were dead last in the standing the season prior, claimed him. So he went around the clause. And in Barclay Goodrow's case, Chris Drury signed him. It was one of his first signings as a GM of the New York Rangers. He did the same thing with Jacob Trouba. So you heard Jacob Trouba when he got traded. He said, they came to me and said, hey, accept a trade or we're scratching you. He said, okay. Accept a trade or we're waiving you. I said, okay. And in the end, he finally accepted to go to Anaheim. Chris Drury you know what he is? He is the rich kid with daddy's credit card. Why do I say this? Because he's the GM of the freaking New York Rangers. The one and only team in the NHL, whether they're good, they're bad, doesn't matter. They can attract top-tier free agent. They can attract top-tier talent because they are New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. But in ice hockey, they're a beautiful market. It's beautiful Madison Square Garden. They're an original six. But in terms of pressure, they're behind another gazillion team. So it's kind of the perfect place to be for free agents. And so I can't wait. I hope it comes back and bites Chris Drury in the ass because you can't do like, from a business standpoint, a respect standpoint, I do believe that there is still some gentlemanship that needs to be had, and he broke those unwritten rules. You know what? What he did is legal. It's fine. I can't wait to see if it's brought up in the next convention talk in 2 years it is, I think, in 2026. But you can't do that. You can't. If he was the GM of the Columbus Blue Jacket that already are not, or the Buffalo Sabres, to stay in the theme of the week, no palm trees, state taxes. It's already tough enough to bring free agent. The players would probably go, nah, man, I'm not playing for this guy. I hope they do this with Chris Drury.
Yeah. And
Sorry, I went on a long rant here. I'm pissed.
No.
Why am I so pissed?
This is why. No, but because it's in the way that they've made it. And I'm sorry, but this is a disgrace. And this is why I talked firstly only about the business side of it, because if you're entering
salary cap and stuff,
the way that they did it, and you've went exactly where I wanted to bring in you, because I was like, is this something that would damage a Rangers reputation? And you've said it, like they're the Rangers, they have the good side of it, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, if I'm a player and I'm like, I want to find an organization that matches my values, there is no way I'm going there, because I'm like, if Jacob Trouba was treated like that, anybody can be treated like that or worse.
The team captain.
I know. This is awful. And like, people are like, this is a genius move. I'm sorry, but I don't think so. And I'm looking at this and like, okay, this is business, fine. But if this is business, man, you're dealing with Vito Corleone. And I don't want to deal with Vito Corleone. This is not the business that I wanted to do.
Very cutthroat by Chris Drury. Also, when we think about it, he basically held the contract of Trouba over his head and be like, look, Jacob, you're making $8 million. I can waive you. No one's picking you up. Your contract will be, null and void. Somebody can pick you up for whatever after. So here's your choice. Accept the trade. You can still cash in the same amount of checks, but somewhere else. So there you go.
As far as I'm concerned, if I'm Jacob Trouba, California, here I come, right back where I started from, baby.
Disneyland, baby. Anaheim, welcome. Okay, I'm going to have to wear a lot of orange in the next few years, but no problem with that.
And if Jacob Trouba said that every move he made in his career was regarding his family, if I'm his family, I'm truly happy with this one.
Yeah,
I
me
would
too.
have no problem with California.
too.
But yeah, the way that that they were like, accept this trade or we are scratching you. This is why I'm like, you're dealing with Vito Corleone, because
Yeah.
this is no, and they have the power to do so. And now you're looking at this, Max, and you're like, what's next for the Rangers?
Yeah. The only bit of devil's advocate I'm going to play here, because I am mostly on the player side of things, but a lot of people, when I talked about it on other platforms, were like, hey, if he had played to the level of his contract, he wouldn't be here. That's on him. I can hear that argument. And Jacob Trouba was one of the first of this generation of player who chose where he wanted to go. He was on the Winnipeg Jets. He clearly wanted to go back in the United States. There were reports, they haven't been confirmed yet, but there are reports that all of the Canadian teams were on his no trade list. You want to play that? I personally have absolutely no problems with players deciding their fate. In absolutely no other business are you suddenly traded to Anaheim out of New York in life. They're making a ton of millions of dollars for it. Fine. But if you are a player who do what Jacob Trouba did, if you are a player who did what Cutter Gauthier did, Roger McGroarty, damn, play like a top-tier player, play at the top of your value.
Yeah.
That's the only bit of devil's advocate I'm going to do here.
Yeah. But maybe Jacob Trouba has the, I feel like he is not in the same category, but
no, but just play to the level of your contract.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Truly.
And as I said, I'm just trying a bit here to be the devil advocate, because we're pretty much all on the same side here.
And also, if I may add, during the broadcast on Saturday, I was actually working the Rangers game, who was broadcasted on ESPN Friday night. So after the trade in the day, he actually was a guest at halftime during the intermission. Then he starts talking like, not only is this, but I was told in the off season that my contract, that I was going to be traded, and that it was an opportunity, like it was a fair probability that I was not going to be there for the long term. And he said it made it really difficult for me to lead this team and to even to play to the level. And that's what we've seen with the Rangers, right? Especially in the last 10 games, 2 wins, 8 losses. They conceded 4 goals per game over the last 10 games, even with all this happening. And Trouba was honest, saying it's tough for me to lead this team as a captain, knowing I'm not going to be the captain in the long term.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Larry Brooks said when we talked about it last Friday in our episode. He was like, it feels like one of the problem is that Jacob Trouba is really detached. And we've talked about the move that the Leafs made with Tavares and removing his captainship to pass it on to Austin Matthews. And maybe this was the best thing to do, because you don't want to have a disengaged captain.
Yeah, totally. That I completely agree with it. And then Chris Drury immediately turned around, went full Loki, and said, well, that's sad. Anyways, Igor Shesterkin, here is your $11.5 million. Igor Shesterkin, whose partner welcomed a child, who gave birth to a child during the weekend. So a beautiful, big weekend for the Shesterkins. I thought that was a bit hilarious, because my first thought when the old Jacob Trouba situation, the whole situation with the Rangers happened, I was like, if you're Shesterkin, are you looking at this, calling your agent saying, hey, whatever the offer, let's test the market. I was curious, because it feels like such a mess right now in Madison Square Garden. Nope. Igor Shesterkin is there. He is well set. He will be greatly compensated to keep the pucks out of the net. You guys know I'm a goalie guy. I am not one who says you don't pay goalies, so I have absolutely no problem with Igor Shesterkin making all that money, but he has to be, for the next 5 years, without an ounce of a doubt, the best goalie in the NHL. It's kind of weird, because when you look the $10+ million contract that were given, of course, Carey Price, Sergei Bobrovsky, it's kind of weird because both of those goalies were, for the most part, underwhelming on those contracts. Carey Price, he had his big injury the year prior to signing the contract, and Marc Bergevin was not worried. He gave him the contract still. Unfortunately, injuries started to pile up for Carey Price. But in the very end, with his back against the wall, he took the team. He took the team on his back like he did most of his career, carried it to the Stanley Cup final. Sergei Bobrovsky, his first few years in Florida were atrocious. In 2023, remember, he wasn't even the starting goalie for that cup run. It was Alex Lyon. Finally, the Bob took it back. And the year after, Vezina caliber season, was nominated to the Vezina, was one of the candidates for the Conn Smythe trophy. Maybe he wins the Conn Smythe if Connor McDavid doesn't go berserk in game 4, 5, 6 of the series. But it's kind of weird because those two goalies, in a way, like made team more scared to pay goalies. But when you look at it, they both brought their teams to the Cup final. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it finally paid back in some kind of way. And I don't know for you, Max, but I'm looking at this, and because we were talking about how maybe Shesterkin was not having conversation because he wanted to see what was going to happen with the team. So when I see this, I'm like, he's willing to be part of whatever this team is going to end up doing. Or so he for me, it's kind of, I'm showing up for you, and I'm here to stay, and I'm here to be part of whatever this is going to be, because it feels like this is the end of an era for this team.
Oh, it's definitely a reset of some sort. There are now talk about, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but there are talks regarding the Ottawa Senators. There are still talks regarding Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad. And with that here's what I'm curious to see. Because I was having debate on socials with people, because when the reports first came about Chris Kreider, Jacob Trouba, I was like, yeah, of course. We know they want to sign Igor Shesterkin. They need money to sign Igor Shesterkin. So, like, I was not going to be surprised if they did the trade like they did with Trouba, not trading him for what technically should be immediate help, like keeping the roster on a level, or like strictly a money move. People were like, no, they're trying to win the cup. They're gonna. It's like, I don't think so. I could be wrong. And turns out that was exactly it. They wanted to sign Shesty. Now he is signed. Now what do they do? If the slide continues, are they going on some sort of reset? Because this team is in such a weird situation. The two top draft pick that they had, Lafrenière and Capo-Caco, Lafrenière is now a good first-line player in the NHL. Will he ever be a franchise player? Jury's still out on it. Capo-Caco clearly is at best a third-line player. So, they're not like becoming the leaders of that team. Yeah. Artemi Panarin is still the man, but he is in his 30s. Chris Kreider is in his 30s. Mika Zibanejad. So, like, Adam Fox, Igor Shesterkin are kind of the two younger players that you want to build on. What will they do? As we said, it's New York, New York. I will absolutely not be surprised if there is another Artemi Panarin type of signature coming this summer. At the same time, Panarin, so you have two $11 million men next year, Panarin and Shesty. What a weird situation for the Rangers.
Absolutely. But
do you feel like they've missed their window? Like the window's closed? Because last year, President's Trophy, two Eastern Conference final in the past 3 years.
I feel that they are preparing the field for it. It has to be, and maybe if they had like a more successful beginning of the season, it wouldn't have been the case. But you're looking at the season and you're like, okay, we're acting now. We're taking the wheel. We're making some move because we don't want to be in the ranking basement for a long time. So we need to act fast. So yeah, I feel like they've missed. For me, they're not contenders anymore. They're pretenders.
Here's the thing: there are some potential, keyword here, potential quality free agent next summer. Now, of course, Leon Draisaitl extended in Edmonton, but Mitch Marner, Mikko Rantanen, at some level, Sam Bennett. Could you imagine Toronto and the Rangers pulling a blockbuster for Mitch Marner?
Ooh,
I don't even know if that's possible. Oh, man.
And I feel like Mitch Marner is kind of a New York Ranger. Like he has
Mitch Marner in New York blue would be a beauty.
ooh, yeah. But he has I don't know, his attitude, his
I get what you
persona, it
mean.
fits. It
I get
fits.
what you mean. I get what you mean.
Mm.
Oh,
That would
oh,
be a
that would
great
be.
addition.
But
But yeah, maybe they're seeing this and they're seeing this scenario and they're like, we are having a chance to do this now and having some good payback.
yeah, I don't know if it would fit though because, as I said, next year you have 11.5 on Chesty, 9.5 on Fox, and 11.6 on Panarin. Of course, Panarin's contract ends in 2026, but that would still be a full year. Zibanejad is still an 8 point. You would have to put Zibanejad in that trade for sure. I don't see how you. Anyways,
These
it's
are
it's a
big
very interesting
contracts.
moment for the New York Rangers. It really
Yeah.
is an interesting moment for the New York Rangers.
And is this a sign that we need to go really higher in the salary cap? Because you're looking at how the contracts are and what, you know,
Oh, that's a
just
good
the money
question. I
that they are
don't know.
giving in.
I don't know. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I've always been of the opinion that the hard salary cap of the NHL. I don't like it. I don't like the NHL is the only premium top tier sports league in the world that doesn't allow the big dogs to be the big dogs. The Toronto Maple, and I know it's so easy for me to say because I'm in Montreal, and of course the Montreal Canadian would benefit from that. The Toronto Maple Leaf, the Montreal Canadian, the Vancouver Canucks, the New York Rangers, the Chicago Blackhawks, probably to a lesser extent, but probably the Boston Bruins are all teams that would benefit from a different type of salary cap that allows the biggest team to be and spend like the biggest team. Real Madrid, Barcelona in the Premier League, all the top dogs. Of course, Juan Soto with the Mets just signed the completely stupid contract, but that's for another discussion. And let me be clear, I would not want the NHL to be the MLB, where it's becoming like a 5-team league, like
No.
Mark Griffin, who is an analyst in Quebec, said yesterday. No, but at the very least, I don't know, like, is it a designated player like the MLS? I don't know. But yeah, I would, at the very least, they're the teams that drive the league. They're the teams that bring in the revenues. I do think it's kind of weird, borderline stupid, that let's say before their move, that the Arizona Coyote and the Toronto Maple Leafs can spend the exact same amount of money for players. Yes, it's good for parity and stuff like this, but let's be real. The Toronto Maple Leafs should be allowed to spend like the Toronto Maple Leafs. And we have the proof in hockey, especially, that doesn't mean you're going to have a better team anyway.
Yeah. And this is what's surprising. But I feel like also the big players, the big teams are already trying to bend the rules with the long-term injury reserve in some kind of way. That this is maybe, and you don't want that. Like you've put some rules. Yeah, you've put some rules. So like, and yeah, whatever. This is a whole other topic, but it's kind of interesting too.
You know why it's such an important topic for me?
Why?
It's because while we're talking about Chesty, you know who are the biggest losers of the salary cap? The goalies.
Yeah.
The goalies.
Oh,
when you look at the best goalies of the salary cap generation, Henrik Lundqvist, Roberto Luongo, Carey Price, what do they have in common? No cup, no cup, no cup. Prior to the salary cap, the Colorado Avalanche were a very good team back when they were the Nordique, and they went and get Patrick Roy. Boom. The Detroit Red Wing, had won 2 cups in 97 and 98. Now, there were other good teams. Boom, they go and get Dominik Hasek. Like, it was like this. Good teams would go and get good goalies. But now, because of the salary cap, teams are like, we can't spend as much on goaltending. We're going to... So, yeah, I'm just being the goalie's lawyer here.
No, but...
making sure they get paid, making sure they're on good teams.
It's like the quarterbacks in the NFL, right? You have a window when you don't pay your quarterback a lot in the first few years before with his rookie contract, and that's when teams are winning, right? That window is closing for the 49ers. They're not going to win. But that's exactly what it is.
Bengals.
And the Bengals, and then you're going to have to pay your quarterback so much money that like the quarter of the entire salary that you have, and then the rest of the team has to share slim pickings.
Yeah, this is surprising. Like even if they have proved their worth, it's like no,
Exactly.
sorry.
Exactly. Well, thank you, the New York Rangers, for the drama this week. We will keep talking about them just a little bit, but via the Ottawa Senators in our co-stake.
After this eventful weekend, Max, in New York, general manager expressed his openness to making some additional move, and there were some reports from Larry Brooks from the New York Post that the Rangers are targeting Ottawa Senators Brady Tkachuk in a possibly maybe trade, like you said, an Artemi Panarin trade, and it angered the Ottawa Senators owner, Michael Andlauer. He was not
As he
happy
should.
about it. He accused the New York Rangers of soft tampering with Brady Tkachuk. What is your take about it? Because you said as he should. And yeah, you don't want that. You're like, you need to play by the rules, man.
He is right to be pissed because we just talked about the glamorous New York Rangers, and with all due respect, now we're talking about the non-glamorous Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators are the type of team that need to draft, develop well, keep their players happy. It's kind of ironic because this comes out the weekend that they brought back the pizza line together. Jason Spezza, Daniel Alfredson, and Danny Eatley were presented to the crowd. Probably the best trio in Ottawa Senators history. They went to the Cup final with these guys back in 2007. And, it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird because a lot of people have kind of assumed after the Matthew Tkachuk trade that his brother Brady at some point would pull the same kind of move. But Brady signed long terms with the Sens. He's still signed until 2028. He's the captain of the team. Will he be pissed off about the lack of progress, about missing the playoff year in, year out? I do not know, but I do respect that Michael Andlauer came out and said what he said. Regarding Brady Tkachuk, though, you said that Mitch Marner kind of fits the. Is it just me or Brady Tkachuk? Brady Tkachuk is the New York Rangers in my mind. I'm sorry, Mr. Andlauer, I'm tampering here.
Yeah, but this is exactly what I was going to say. It's like if Mitch Marner's worth being in New York, I feel like, imagine this team they cannot have both. I know, but let's just pretend here. Mitch Marner and Brady Tkachuk with this team.
Yeah, well, I don't think they could get both.
No. I was just pretending here. I was just in a fantasy. But if Mitch Marner's fits, I feel like Brady Tkachuk is
Madison Square Garden would love him.
Oh.
But here's the thing with we were joking with Mikko Rantanen and Mitch Marner earlier on, but Brady Tkachuk, his salary in a trade, because he's signed in a trade with money going back the other way, would actually fit. He would actually. There is a way to make this fit because he's just a titty bit over $8 million. But if it gets there, if Brady Tkachuk at the end of the season goes in the GM office in Ottawa and says, "Get me out of here," whatever. If I'm the Ottawa Senators, and let's say he goes to New York, I'm bleeding the Rangers. You're not trading Brady Tkachuk unless you're getting the total. You're not selling Brady Tkachuk on Boxing Day. You're selling Brady Tkachuk more than full price. You're trading him at the very least for Alexis Lafrenière and with a lot of many more things because Brady Tkachuk is a proven star player in my mind. He goes to New York. He is an 80-plus point player immediately, if not more. He has grit. He is big. He probably is a playoff player. We do not know because we haven't seen him in the playoffs yet. But here's the thing. Here's a question I have for you guys. It is a debate. Who's the best Tkachuk brother? And to me, until further notice, it's Matthew, not even close. Two-time 100-point player, Hart Nomini player, Conn Smythe level player for 2 playoff runs. To me, it's not even close. Would Brady Tkachuk on a very good team have the same type of effect his brother had when he went to Florida? I think he would be a wish version. I don't think he has the exact same type of effect as Matthew, who I think, until further notice, is the best player of the two.
I'm with you on this one. I think, and this is no disrespect regarding Brady Tkachuk, but I don't think he's the kind of player that elevates everybody around him. He fits, going to be good, but he is not the major, like the X factor. I don't think so. I'm with you on this. I don't know for you, Kev, but yeah, I don't know. For me, he's not that kind of player.
No, I agree. And I also believe that Brady Tkachuk sometimes has some selfish tendencies for penalties or for putting his team in a situation that even though he's the captain, he's not necessarily the one that lead with discipline, with playing the game that his coach wants. He's the first one to sucker punch sometimes. He's always in the top 5 of the most penalized players over the last few years. That's his reputation. So I also believe that Matthew probably calmed himself a little bit over the last few years, putting the team first, and I think Brady is not there yet. Also, the Wish version of the Tkachuk brothers is awesome. Timu or Shine, whatever it's called. Oh, yeah. Timu Tkachuk would be great.
But that's interesting what you just said about leadership, because I was having a debate with friends this weekend. And one of my friends was like, I don't want Brady Tkachuk as a team captain. He's not a good team. And hilariously enough, like, our cell phone listened to us. Like, literally, I think 5 minutes later, I don't remember which social feeds pushed me a clip from a podcast where they're talking about how they love Brady Tkachuk and how his leadership brings something. And I'm like, there are two coins to this. A lot of people are on Kevin's side and going, this is not captain pedigree. And other people see it the other way. I'm of the opinion that it's really tough to evaluate who has the leadership in a group when you're not in the group. Like right now in Montreal, there were a lot of talk a few weeks ago about Nick Suzuki's leadership because he is a calm type captain. He's like the anti Brady Tkachuk. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not within the group. Who knows? Like, maybe he's the one bringing the team together. I have no idea. But with that being said, where I'm with Kevin, and I don't know about you, Daph, is that I think Matthew Tkachuk is so good in all of the aspects of his game because there is a Alexander Barkov who is to me, Alexander Barkov is, and I know this is high praise, but he is in the Sidney Crosby, Patrice Bergeron level of captains. The guy does everything. The guy is cool, calm, collected, the best player on the team. He's the type of guy you want to present to your parents as a partner in life. I'm sure he comes in, he talks to your dad, and your dad is impressed with his level of culture, and then the dishwasher breaks, and he's like, I got you, fam. He does it all. He does it all, and I think this helps elevate Matthew Tkachuk. I'm not sure he would be a good captain, and I feel like Brady would benefit, too, from having this type of player next to him.
And on the other side, Brady Tkachuk, because I wanted to say that there are many types of leadership. And for me, Brady Tkachuk, on the other hand, he's, the funny guy in high school who is so cool, but was just...
Of course, that was me. I wasn't cool, but I was funny.
Always making jokes and always being in the I want to say director, but
the principal's office.
The principal's office. Absolutely. But he's... So there is two kind of guys, and Brady Tkachuk is this one. There is lack of maturity, and his way of leadership is grit. But is he an effective leader? I don't know. People follows him because he has grit, he is showing, he is entertaining. But for me, he's the funny guy in high school who always end up in the principal office. And I don't know, do you ever think about those people where are they in their 30s?
Well, yeah, that's where I was going. They're working as dishwasher repairmen, but not as a hockey player at the same time. And that reminds me of a bully in high school who is like funny and also like people like him, but he's also a bully. And he finishes up at the principal's office and then drops out of college because he couldn't make the grades, and then ends up working somewhere at a low minimum salary type of job. That's not to talk bad about minimum salary jobs, but it's also
we need them.
We need them, especially now. But it's to show it that long down the road, the roles are reversed. The popular kids are not the popular kids in adulthood, and he's that guy at that space too. I think I agree, definitely.
Yeah, but there's a lot of teams that are willing to take the Wish version of the Tkachuk brothers. I'm sure of that. If we're talking a little bit about the Vancouver Canucks, Max, Thatcher Demko, for days, weeks, months, he was part of daily deliberations about his return, and for a good reason, because even if Kevin Lankinen has been remarkable in relief, you know how getting a Vezina Trophy finalist in your net is critical for your team's success. And now that JT Miller is gone, you're like, we need our guy back. We need our guy back. And he could be back against the St. Louis Blues tonight.
Well, first of all, I want to say that one of those games that Thatcher Demko sat on the bench for was one where they were wearing the black skate jersey. And I just want to say that he had some gorgeous pads to fit with it. Thank you. That was the fashion moment of the show. But number two, you said it. Let's stand up and give an ovation to my man Kevin Lankinen, who more than held the fort for the Vancouver Canucks while Thatcher Demko was out for more than a quarter of a season. And let's be real, when you look deep down in advanced stats and all that, Kevin Lankinen with 2.55 goal save above expected, he was not phenomenal for the Canucks, but he came in, and I'm not going to say saved the season, but with a 908 save percentage, 13 wins in 20 starts, he was more than what the Canucks needed. And I'm going to go further and say at least, the very least, for the next, 10, 15 games, and maybe even further down the road, we'll need to keep that level of play, because Thatcher Demko is not, I will be very surprised. Maybe he will. Maybe I will eat my socks in a week from now. But he's not coming in and going to play Vezina caliber goaltending between the pipes for the Canucks. Just look at the freaking best or second best goalie in the league for the past 10 years, Andrei Vasilevsky. When he came back for the Lightning last year, it was tough. So Kevin Lankinen will need to keep going too and keep doing what he's been doing. But you know what? You look at the standing today, the Vancouver Canucks are just a spot outside of the wild card. They have lost, like you said, JD Miller. They have not had their number one goalies. I'm going to be very curious to see how it goes from here, but I don't see how it doesn't go up from here for the Canucks. Elias Peterson is playing better hockey. I feel like they're going to turn the corner.
Yeah, and this is just reassuring to know that your backup goalie can have such tenure, especially when your principal goalie's back from an injury. We know it takes time, and this come at the right time as the Canucks are looking to find the right elixir to cure their home ice sickness.
It's incredible.
And, I feel like it can bring that for the Canucks.
4-6-3 at home, 10-1 away from home. They're the road warriors.
Yeah, they're the third worst in the Western Conference at home.
It's crazy.
This is bad, but maybe it can change with Thatcher Demko being back. I know the fans are going to be thrilled to see him again. Max, and you are wearing your Christmas jersey, and this is one of my favorite story about. We've talked about everything happened in New York. It kind of screwed up the Christmas spirit. And there was another incident in the OHL in the Barrie Colts when they visited the Ottawa. And, it was a teddy bear game, which
teddy bear toss.
fans throw teddy bears and other stuffed animal on the ice following the team's first goal to be donated to a charity. And man, it took a turn. And I don't know if you want me to explain it or if you want to explain it, but it was completely madness.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Complete madness.
Yeah. So the Ottawa 67 scored the first goal of the game. So, of course, teddy bears come onto the ice. And a Barrie Colts player hits one of the 67's player during the celebration. And a line brawl ensues. A full-on line brawls while the lights are flashing. The
Everyone
teddy bears
just
are getting
watched
tossed.
it.
The Grinch came onto the ice.
This is the best part. So everyone lost it. They all pitched in. Everything's flashing around, and you're like, okay, players are wrestling. They're tossing around. They're all over the ice. The officials trying to get the situation under control. And the Grinch and Riley the raccoon, they're like, the show must go on. So they walked around the ice, and they're like, this is not happening. We're here to entertain people. And you know how, like, sometimes in malls, like the Christmas Santa, sometimes it turns, like in the Christmas movies, sometimes it turned to bullshit. And there's just like one elf who's like, everything's fine. They were the elf in this one. They were like, the show must go on. We are taking this. The Grinch was walking around. He even he put an hands up the referee who was holding back one of the players. It was just, this was amazing. And it's a disgrace, but it's also so funny. Just
I'm sorry, it's a funny disgrace. I think we're allowed to laugh, and the commentators were doing it. It was so hilarious to hear them. This isn't the spirit of what this, and there is only, you're talking about a Christmas movie. To me, I could have imagined this in Slapshot for real. But the only, you know what was the only thing missing? I was so looking for it while I was watching the replays, and I was like, at some point there has to be a player on the ground that grabs a teddy bear and hits.
Just slaps.
It's gonna happen, and none of those kids grabbed a teddy bear to hit it. Oh my God! If I had been on the ice, I would have spotted the biggest teddy bear and I would have started dancing with it. Like I would have gone full
Yeah, because you have to just laugh about it at some point.
Yeah, this is like, if you want to explain hockey to an alien, I think I'm showing this. This is hockey.
This is good.
There was a viral TikTok a few weeks ago. So it's a Frenchman, French from France, not a Quebecer, a Frenchman from France. He's in his car and he goes, I thought rugby was the craziest, most brutal sport ever, and he does it with like a huge French accent, so it's hilarious. Like for Anglophone, imagine like a Brit, like talking about this. So he's like, but I just discovered ice hockey. And he goes on and on about like the craziness of hockey with images. And it's just like, I'm seeing and of course, I mean, I've been playing hockey since I was 4 years old, but I was able to separate myself from it and watching it from his perspective, like finding this out for the first time. And I was just like, this is, when you look at it, this is kind of hilarious, you could have had Tom Wilson's swollen face this week, scoring 2 goals for the Washington Capitals against the Habs, scoring 2 goals. Like, I'm just like, yeah, explaining hockey to aliens, teddy bear toss madness.
It picks the whole essence of it. And afterwards, the teddy bear madness resulted in 10 penalties to 5 players. Just like that. This is the whole
how the 67s and the cold ruined Christmas.
Beautiful. This is a whole new story. It could be a good Christmas story to explain to people who don't know hockey. It could be good.
I think also the funniest part is you see them fighting and wrestling, and then you still see the teddy bear falling on the ice in the background. People are like, oh, well, here's my teddy bear. I got to throw it anyways. I'm surprised nobody aimed at the players too, right? Like, right, here you go.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
People were still in the cheerful spirit. Well, getting back to the NHL, but I don't know. Can become a classic for the hockey, like the Christmas story of hockey. There was another goalie swap in Colorado, Alexander
Incredible.
Georgiev. So the Colorado Avalanche made a bold move trading for Mackenzie Blackwood in exchange for Alexander Georgiev. Max, we've talked about how they needed to stabilize the situation in the net, and they took action. Is this a good trade for the Colorado Avalanche?
Yeah, they needed stabilizing, so they went and got Mackenzie Blackwood. I honestly, I don't know, guys. I don't. My first reaction to this was like, that meme where I think it was a Mythbuster. So there's like this huge pool of water leaking, and the guy takes duct tape and slaps it onto it. And I was like, goalie problem, and you slap Mackenzie Blackwood onto it. Maybe I'm being a little severe here because Mackenzie Blackwood was once a good upcoming goalie for the New Jersey Devil. And if we're being real, injuries were kind of the problem of Mackenzie Blackwood's career. When you look at what he did so far this year for the poorly San Jose Sharks, he's actually been decent for the Sharks behind, of course, a bad Sharks team. So now behind a better team, I mean, at some point it can be worse than Georgiev. Colorado, we've talked about it many times. They're not going to go into the playoff if they don't fix that goaltending issues because, yes, to me, it's a goaltending issue. It's not a defensive issue. I don't know. I do feel like you're not fixing the real problem here. You're kind of like fixing the side problem. But at the same time, what can they do? Like,
yeah, because they don't want to trade. Yeah, they don't want to trade their good players. They still feel that they have the window wide open, and they don't have a lot of draft pick to play with.
No, they have nothing.
So
you can't go and buy the Mercedes.
Hoping. Yeah.
In their situation. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm being severe toward Mackenzie Blackwood. Like, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. This is a huge opportunity for him to get his career back on track in a way. They're going to give him every opportunity to be the guy. And he just needs to do the job, to do the basic job for the Colorado Avalanche. That's all you need. That's all you need. In terms of goaltending, I do not know though. Like, I'm gonna be skeptical. I'm gonna need to see it to believe it.
And are you worried for Georgiev and the San Jose Sharks?
Well, I mean, look, all due respect to Alexander Georgiev, he's had many opportunities on those Colorado teams. So,
yeah.
My man, I'm sorry for you. You did not do the job. You just did not do the job. It sucks, but it's as simple as this. I think the Sharks now, like, it's a matter of when Yaroslav Askarov becomes the man. So.
Okay. Last Friday, Max, we've talked about the Four Nations face-off, and we've talked about who were maybe the most upsetting choices or who were left behind and who we were surprised to see, but who were the ones that we were like, oh, they should have been there and they're not. And according to Elliot Friedman, a player reacted so badly to not being selected that he won't consider joining his team if an injury occurred. And we don't have any names nor nationality.
Exactly.
But I'm like, I feel like this could be maybe a Tage Thompson thing. I don't know. Are we dropping names? Are we?
Yeah,
it's just for fun. It's just for fun.
I don't know. I feel like I would be surprised. At the same time, we know how Euros value those, but it's not a night. To me, it's like, so yeah, like it's kind of crazy that the GMs like were so, I don't know if offended's the right word, but they're like, yeah, no, like, scratch that guy. Even if we have an injury, we're not going to go to him. But to me, what I thought was surprising, because I was having the debate on Monday night again with my peer league teammates. We're talking about this. And, to me, from the get-go, my thought on this is like, man, I would be happy not to be selected. You give me a full week off in the middle of the season to recharge the batteries for a non. These are not the Olympics. This is a non-IIHF sanctioned event. It's a cash grab. There are 4 teams. Russians are not there. Czechia is not there. Slovakia, Germany, Switzerland, who always come up and mess things up in those. Nobody's there. Nobody's there. We are the only reason we are excited. There is a bit of excitement for this is because we have not had best on best since the 2014 Olympics. Because no, I don't even consider the World Cup. Like the NHL is trying to make money off international hockey. This has always been the problem. I understand the business side of it, but this is a glorified All-Star game without even you have no Pasternak, you have no Draisaitl, you have no. And personally, the only reason I would be mad not to be selected is because if I'm not selected for Team USA, for Team Canada, whatever, you kind of get the message that you're going to need to play your ass off in the next year to be selected for the Olympics. This is the only reason I would be mad.
Because you're not good. It's kind of you're not good enough thing.
So, can you imagine a play like Connor McDavid getting injured in that thing? Getting injured in the Olympic is something. Like it happened to Tavares many years ago in 2014.
It's a general management worst nightmare right now.
Do you think they're going to play their ass off? A lot of people say they're going to play their ass off. They're representing their country.
But it can have because if I'm looking at the NBA trophy cup, this is like the in-season tournament that was made to just have exciting games during November, which was historically really bad for the NBA, boring. And at the first, so last year was the first time that they've made it, and everybody were like us, they were all skeptical, and they were like, why the hell would the players want to play in their full capacity when that they are just trying to manage their time and manage their body to get through and get to the playoffs. And surprisingly, the players were fully competitive, and it brought emotion, and people were eager to win this title, which the Lakers did, and LeBron and Anthony Davis. And so, but it's different because the games are counting in the regular season calendar.
Exactly.
Like this is, so it's kind of different. So I'm like, no, I don't feel that they're going to play their ass off. I don't think.
What do you feel, Kev?
No, I think I agree with Daphne here. Like the players only if in the final, right? It's the same for the NBA tournament too. And the first few rounds, whatever happened in the group stage, and then when you're in the knockout phase or the last game of the group stage, especially this year in the NBA Cup, play teams okay, we got to blow out this team for the differential of points. You see intelligent gameplay and also emotion. I don't think we'll see that unless maybe in the final or stuff like that. But I want to get back for a second at the player who's not happy and made a scene. Who do you think it is, and why is it Cole Caulfield? That's what came to mind when I heard the news. News, I was like, why do I?
You did?
The first player that popped in my brain was Cole Caulfield. Why? He's been vocal, oh no, I'm past that already. You only passed it. You're only over it if you were really offended by it to begin with. So I don't know why that's the name that came to mind when that news came out. I was like,
I kind of get maybe the little spoiled brat attitude that he has sometimes.
That's
okay.
I might be wrong, and I'm just speculating here. I know nothing, and there's no name. I've looked for names, nothing came out, but that's the name that popped in my brain.
Wow. And actually, you know what? That would make sense because maybe I'm completely off track here, but Elliot Friedman said so. This is a player that if injuries come up, the team no longer considers him. So it has to be a player that was on the bubble. That was a guy that was on, I guess, that's the way I see it. And Cole Caulfield, Daph mentioned Tage Thompson, you mentioning Cole. These are players that I personally, maybe I'm completely wrong. Apparently Team Canada called a dozen of players to say, hey, sorry, you didn't make the team. And Nick Suzuki wasn't even called because apparently they're insulted he didn't go to the World Championship. That's bullshit, by the way. Complete bullshit. But so I would have guessed Nick Suzuki was bubble player. Apparently not. I'm guessing the same thing. Tage Thompson and Cole Caulfield, you guys are right. I feel like they would be, depending who gets injured, of course, it would be top names to come in quickly to replace.
And coming from players who maybe don't have like something big to look forward in the season. And maybe this
that is a valid
their
point.
highlight.
Yeah, that is a good point, Daph. Very good point. I agree. Yeah.
We're getting there. This is clue. This is a whole new clue.
Sorry for
And maybe we're completely wrong and it's yes, Perry Kotkanian.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Sorry for the tea, but that's what came in my brain when that news came out.
Oh no, and I'm curious in the comment if that makes sense to you.
Okay, who's the player? Everyone in the comment, let us know who's the player.
We're playing clue here. And this is just speculation. Like, don't throw tomatoes at us. We're just trying to entertain here.
For entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. So yeah, write in the comments who's the player. Also, hit that subscribe button if it's not already done. Thank you for listening to us on YouTube or maybe on our other platform, Spotify, Apple, whatever you're listening us on, whatever platform you are listening to. Hit that subscribe button. But thank you a lot again for being here with us. And I'm here with my two boys, Kevin Laramé, Maxime Vanout. I'm Daphne Malbeuf, and we will be back again on Friday. Thanks a lot, guys.